stories. This time I am going to go through The Diamond Necklace by MAUPASSANT. I shall be doing this story, and then on, after reading out the line by line explanation of the story, I shall be going into detailed analysis of the story. So stay tuned and keep watching. Take out your text if you have it, and the story goes like this. The Diamond Necklace, written in the 1870s, 1880s, it's written during that time. So the story starts. She was one of those pretty and charming girls, born as though fate had blundered over her. So fate as if had blundered in making this pretty and charming girl to be born where? Into a family of artisans. So in a family of artisans, this girl was born. She was very pretty, she was a charming girl. She had no means of being known, understood and loved. So known, understood and loved, and wedded by a man of wealth and distinction. So because she was born in a poor family, in spite of being pretty, in spite of being a charming girl, she could not be married to a higher position. So at the beginning, the writer makes it clear that she belongs to a lower rank, or you can say a middle class of society, and there is no way for her to rise up in social status. There is no option for her. So she let herself be married off to a clerk. So she married a clerk of the education department. She was married off to that person. Now you can understand here that her level or her social status in this case remains the same. The way she was born, or the family into which she was born, that and the family into which she married were the same, were at par. Okay, there was no upliftment for her, that she married a rich man and then she got a higher status in society. It did not happen like that. So she was in that same level in which she was born from her childhood. However, she was very unhappy. Now she is unhappy. Why? Let's see. As though she had been married beneath her, she felt she is born and destined to be married higher, but she is married at this level in which she was. But for her actually it is like being married below her status. She suffered endlessly, feeling herself born for every delicacy and luxury. See, she felt she is born for every comfort, every luxury that the life has to provide. But she unfortunately has not been able to marry someone like that, and that is why her life is doomed. That is why she suffered endlessly. When she sat down for dinner opposite her husband, who took the cover off the soup tureen, exclaiming delightedly, "Aha! What could be better?" She imagined delicate meals, gleaming silver, and tapestries, peopling the walls with folk of a past age and strange birds in fairy forests. Now see the contrast between the husband and the wife. The husband is very happy with this soup tureen. That is this large tureen dish where the soup is served. It's a very simplistic kind of a meal, but he is very happy with it. It's after coming from his work, when he sits down to dinner and says, what could be better? So he is happy. He is one who is satisfied with his lot. He is not someone who is dissatisfied with his present position and hankers after being at a higher status. He is satisfied with where he is. He says, okay, this is a nice meal, this is a kingly meal, a feast. But for her, she is not satisfied with it. So what does she say? She thinks, she imagines all this time. Delicate meals, very beautiful and very lavish meals she imagines. Gleaming silver, the cutlery would be of silver, and tapestries peopling the walls. The walls would be filled with long, beautiful decorative tapestries, and there would be the folks of a past day, some decorations of some strange birds in fairy forests. That would be the decoration on those tapestries or the curtains. The walls would be like that, and in a big dining hall, like a rich family's mansion, she would be sitting there and having her meal. This is what she would imagine, that I am destined for that. She had no clothes or jewels, and these were the only things she loved. So no clothes means she didn't have those kind of lavish clothes, but she had whatever her husband could provide as per their status. She had those clothes, but she desired all those finery, she desired all those jewels of a high class aristocratic lady. She longed to charm, to be desired, to be wildly attractive and sought after. This was her love for materialistic things. So what she did, she longed to be charmed. She longed to charm everyone with her beauty. She wanted to be an object of desire of everyone. She wanted everyone will be wildly mad at her and love her tremendously and hanker after her, want to meet her, talk to her, and that kind of, like a film star or some celebrated person. She wanted to be like that and sought after. That is why a celebrity sought after. She wanted to be like that. She hankered after that life. She didn't want this calm, quiet, and sedentary life. She didn't want that. One evening, her husband came home holding a large envelope in his hand. "Here, something for you," he said. Swiftly she tore the paper and drew out a printed card on which was written, "The Minister of Education and Madame Rapinoe request the pleasure and the company of Monsieur and Madame Lozol at the Ministry on the evening of Monday, January the 18th. So that was an invitation card in which the Minister of Education and his wife had invited the company of Mr. and Mrs. Lozol to come on Monday 18th. Instead of being delighted as her husband had hoped, she flung the invitation across the table, murmuring, "What do you want me to do with this?" So he thought her wife would be delighted. "Okay, you have bought this invitation. Oh, how nice! We are going to go to a party." Nothing like this. The opposite reaction. She just threw the card on the table and said, "What am I going to do with this?" "Why, darling, I thought you would be pleased." She asked impatiently. "What do you suppose I am to wear at such an affair?" He says, "What do you think I am going to wear at this affair? What do you think is my desire to wear at this particular affair? What do you think I am going to wear at this particular event? You are telling me to inviting me to go to this party. What I am going to wear?" He had not thought about it. He faltered. "Why, the dress you go to the theatre in, it looks very nice." So he had not calculated all these things. He was a very simplistic kind of a person. He had not taken into consideration all these things. So he said, that is why he faltered. He said, "Okay, what you are wearing? Why, that dress which you wear at the theatre, that is okay. It looks nice, it's fine. As per our status, it is okay. If you try to rise up to a higher status, then it is a different thing. But at this status at which we are, it is okay. What's the matter with you?" he asked, concerned, as she began to cry. And when he said this, that the dress which you wear at the theatre, you can wear it and all, she started crying. And then he was puzzled. He said, what's the matter? What happened? With great effort, she overcame her grief and replied in With a great effort, she overcame her grief and replied in a calm voice. So she overcame her grief with a lot of effort, and then in a calm voice she relaxed, and then she replied to her husband, "Nothing. Only I haven't a dress, and so I cannot go. I don't have a proper dress to wear as per her standards." Mind you, as per her standards, she doesn't have a dress to wear at the party. But people like her, or people in her position, normally wear this kind of dress which is said by her husband. That kind of dress which she wears at the theatre and all, that is okay. So, but according to her, she wants a dress of a higher status, so she cannot go. That's what she says. "Give the invitation to some friend of yours whose wife will be turned out better than me." Turned out better than me means give this invitation to a friend of yours whose wife has a better dress to wear at the party than I have. Turned out than me means like that. "Look here, Matilda," he persisted. "What would be the cost of a suitable dress which you could use on other occasions as well? Something very simple." So her husband was still adjusting. He says, "Okay, a simplistic kind of a dress. What do you think would be the cost? What would be the cost that you would need for a suitable dress which you would wear not only on this party but on other such occasions as well? You think and tell me." She thought for several seconds, wondering how large a sum she could ask for without bringing upon herself an immediate refusal, and an exclamation of horror from the careful-minded clerk. Now Matilda thought for several seconds, wondering how large a sum, how much amount she should ask, which would be possible for her husband to pay. She cannot ask for something extravagant, because that would immediately bring in a shocking reaction from him, and he would immediately say no. So she has to say an amount which would be acceptable to her husband, which her husband would say, "Okay, I will be able to afford this money." What is that amount? So she thought for some time. For a sum she could ask for without bringing upon herself an immediate refusal. If she names a high amount, immediately her husband will say no, refusal. And an exclamation of horror, that means he would be horrified on seeing, on listening to that amount. So much amount of money for what dress? So from the careful minded clerk, that is the clerk is very practical, he takes into consideration the different factors, how to run the family, what should be your expenses and all that. He is not someone very imaginative like Matilda. At last she replied, I don't know exactly, but I think I could do it on 400 francs. She finally said, okay, I do not know the amount, but around about 400 francs if you give me, I can manage that dress. He grew slightly pale, for this was exactly the amount he had been saving to buy a gun to go shooting next summer on the plains of Nature with some friends. So Nature, that's the place where he was going or deciding to go with his friends on some masculine sport of shooting, and he was saving money to buy a gun. So that is exactly the amount of money which he has to now give to his wife, if he gives it to his wife to buy that new dress. So question mark, whether he will sacrifice or not. But the husband is a good man, he sacrifices that money. He says, nevertheless, he said, very well, I'll give you 400 francs. So he makes that sacrifice, he doesn't buy that gun, he says, okay, I will let go of that gun and buy my wife that dress. And says, okay, you will get that amount and give it to you. As the day of the party drew near, Ma'am Louisol seemed uneasy and anxious. One evening her husband asked, what's the matter with you? Now, as the day is approaching, already the dress is purchased, and still she is looking uneasy, she is looking dissatisfied, because that mere dress is not enough. Now you see, the list goes on. She is not satisfied. In fact, in the beginning of the story you saw that she is not satisfied with her life. So now when the case of the party is coming into question, she is not satisfied with only the dress. Now see what she asks. I have no jewels to wear, she replied. I would almost rather not go to the party. See, after the dress there is the demand for jewels. He said, I do not have proper jewels to wear. Now, without the proper jewels, I cannot go to the party. Wear flowers, he said. Very practical suggestion. Wear flowers. Flowers go with all dresses. Flower is always in fashion. They are very smart at this time of the year. For 10 francs, you could get 2 or 3 gorgeous roses. Of course, for 10 francs, you can buy 2 or 3 nice roses, colorful roses, and you can decorate yourself with that. That will be the most beautiful and natural ornament. At least a person of your status would be very happy in those. She was not convinced. She is not convinced. She is not a person who will be easily satisfied and easily convinced. No, there is nothing so humiliating as looking poor in the midst of rich women. So this is the line which tells that she wants to match up with those rich women out there in the party. So along with that rich, nice dress, she needs to have rich jewelry to match up with those rich women. She is not going to go as a middle class clerk's wife. She is going to go as a rich woman. That's why she is dissatisfied. Her husband said, why don't you ask Madame Forestier to lend you some jewels? You know her well enough for that. He says, you have your friend, Madame Forestier. This is a friend of Matilda. And said, you go ask her, lend some jewels. That's it. The problem is solved. She uttered a cry of delight. That's true. I never thought of it. And she gets very happy. Yes. That's an option. I never thought of it. Next day she went to see her friend and told her of her trouble. Ma'am Forestier went to her dressing table and brought a large cake box. She opened it and said, choose, my dear. So this friend, Ma'am Forestier, is very large-hearted. She takes out her jewelry box and says, see, here it is. Choose what you want, dear. Choose, my friend, what you want. First, Ma'am Louisol saw some bracelets, then a pearl necklace, then a Venetian cross of exquisite workmanship. So one by one, she goes on analyzing and seeing the jewelry that is there. The bracelets, then the pearl necklace, then the Venetian cross of exquisite workmanship. She tried the effect of the jewels before the mirror. Before the mirror, she put those jewelry on her hands and her body, and she tried to see how she looks. Hesitating, unable to make up her mind. She was unable to make up her mind what would look better on her, what would look best on her. That's what her question was. Suddenly, she discovered in a black satin case a magnificent diamond necklace. So suddenly she saw that there was a diamond necklace in a satin container. and she said, hesitatingly, she said, could you lend me this, just this alone? So hesitating, she is hesitating to ask, because she knows it's a diamond necklace, it's a precious thing, it's a costly thing. Will my friend give it to me? And she hesitating said, could you please give it to me? Yes, of course. Madam Foystier said, yes, of course. She embraced her friend frenziedly and went away with her treasure. Frenziedly means she was mad with happiness. So she embraced her friend, Madam Foystier, lovingly, and then went away with the treasure. The day of the party arrived. Madame Louison was a success. She was the prettiest woman present. Now, the day of the party arrived. Madame Louison was a success. She was the prettiest woman present. Among all the women, she was the prettiest. Elegant, graceful, and smiling. Because she is on her own now, her beauty is accentuated, is magnified, because she is in a very happy spirit. When a person smiles and is in a very happy spirit, automatically the beauty is magnified. So she was appearing more beautiful than she actually was. Why? She was very happy internally. All the men inquired her name and asked to be introduced to her. This is exactly what she wanted. This is the kind of life that she wanted. Everyone should be asking about her. Everyone wants to be introduced to her. Everyone wants to know about her like a celebrity. So that's exactly what she wanted. She danced ecstatically in the triumph of her beauty. Now her beauty has totally flowered. So she is very happy and she danced ecstatically. Means with excessive happiness she danced. In the pride of her success, in a cloud of happiness. She is now in a cloud of imagination, this cloud of happiness. That's why she is like that. In the completeness of her victory, so dear to her feminine heart. This was the victory she was waiting for. Her feminine heart today is very happy. And because internally she is very happy, automatically that beauty is getting sparkling all over as if. So she was in the cloud 9, as we may say, of success. She left at about 4 o'clock in the morning. Since midnight, her husband had been dozing in a deserted little room. Her husband probably wanted to go much earlier, but because she was dancing, he couldn't go. So at midnight, he had gone to a side by side, a little deserted little room, and there he had been dozing or sleeping. Whereas she has been going on dancing and meeting different people, talking to them and all that. He threw over her shoulders the garments he had brought for them to go home in modest everyday clothes, whose simplicity clashed with the beauty of the ball dress. Now see, very, very important is the cover, the cloak that he had brought in for them. And the cloak was mediocre, the cloak was in tune with their social status. And when it was put on Madame Louison, then what happened? It was unmatching with, it was unfitting, it was not actually proper with the dress which she was wearing. It was quite different. It was a contrast, it was sharp contrast, because the dress was gorgeous, there was a diamond necklace and everything, and on top of that you have the mediocre cloak put in, which is very rustic, which is very common. So this is what is being said here, that whose simplicity clashed with the beauty of the ball dress. It was very simple, it was very mediocre, of middle class. It was the stamp of middle class on that cloak, and it seemed to clash with that ball dress. She was conscious of this and was anxious to hurry away, so that the other women putting on their costly coats did not see her. She didn't want to stay there. Why? She wanted to quickly put that on and go away, so that other women who were putting on costly coats and other such lavish garments on top of their party dresses would not see her. Otherwise, they would have made fun of her. So she was trying to escape from their eyes. Louisa restrained her. Wait, you will catch a cold in the open. Let me fetch a cab. But she did not listen to him and rapidly descended the staircase. She did not want to stay there anymore. Why? Otherwise, her real status, her real character will be revealed. That she belongs to a very mediocre family, a middle class family. That will be revealed. She is not a rich lady as everyone thinks of her. That's why out in the open she went out. Although she might catch cold in the open, still she went out. Once out in the street, they could not find a cab. Shivering, they walked towards the scene. At last, they found a shabby old carriage on the quay. So, on the quay, which is the platform on the bank of the river, there they found an old shabby carriage, and in that they went home because they could not find a cab. at that hour of the night or early morning. So that's how that beautiful party ended for them. She took off a shoulder wrap to see herself in all her glory one last time before the mirror. When she reached home, she took off that cloak and to one last time see herself in that splendor and that glory and that beauty. She uttered a cry of horror. And suddenly she uttered a cry of horror. "What's the matter?" asked Louisa, already half undressed. I no longer have Malfoy's necklace. She's shocked. She's stammering. She's saying, "I do not have that necklace on my neck anymore." He started with astonishment. "What? Impossible!" Her husband also shocked. "What happened? Impossible!" They searched in the folds of her dress and coat, in the pockets, everywhere. They could not find it. All around they searched in the house and the clothes and all everywhere. They couldn't find it. "Are you sure you still had it when you came away from the ball?" he asked. "Yes, I touched it in the hall." Her husband asked, "In the party did you lose it? Or when you were returning, did you have it on your neck?" She said, "Yes. When I left the hall, I had it here on my neck." "Yes, I touched it in the hall." "But if you had lost it in the street, you should have heard it fall." He says, "Yes, in the street, if it had fallen, there would have been a sound." "Yes, did you take the number of the cab?" "No." "You didn't notice it, did you?" "No." They stared at one another, dumbfounded. They are totally dumb. They are speechless. They don't know what to say. They are speechless. Louis put on his clothes again. "I'll go," he said, "and see if I can find it." He says, okay, wait. He put on his clothes again and again he said, "Wait, I'll find it." She remained huddled on a chair in her evening clothes, lacking the strength to get up. In those clothes, she just sat down in the chair. She did not have the courage. She did not have the strength to get up. Louis returned at about 7 in the morning. He had found nothing. He had gone to the police station, to the newspapers, to offer a reward to the cab companies, everywhere that he could think of. So, Louis had searched everywhere. At 7 in the morning, he returned. He had gone to the police station to lodge a complaint. He had gone to the newspaper office to announce a reward. To any of the cab companies also he had gone, so that anyone who returns it would be rewarded. Louis came home at night, his face lined with and pale. So already there were lines on Mr. Louis's face. He's already worried and his face is pale. "You must write to your friend," he said, "and tell her that you have broken the clasp of the necklace and are getting it mended. That will give us time." He says, "Wait, you do one thing, you write to your friend. Tell her that the clasp or the lock of the necklace is broken. We are getting it repaired. We are getting it mended. So it will take time. That will give us some time, and in the meantime, we can make some arrangements." By the end of the week, they had lost all hope. So 1 week they waited, and that 1 week they did not get any reply. No one came to return that necklace back. So they lost all hope. Lois, who had aged 5 years, declared, "We must see about replacing the diamonds." In those 5 days, in those 7 days, he had aged 5 years, as if he had grown older already. And he said, "Now finally, what to do? We have to replace that diamond necklace." Next day, they took the box which had held the necklace to the jeweler whose name was inside. He consulted his books. It was not I. He consulted his books. "It was not I who sold this necklace, ma'am. I must have merely supplied the clasp." So he consulted his books and said, "No, I did not make this kind of necklace. I only supplied the clasp, which is the lock. I only supplied the lock. That's it." They went from jeweler to jeweler searching for a similar necklace. Finally, in a shop at the Palace Royal, they found a necklace which seemed exactly like the one they were looking for. They looked for each jeweler, this jeweler to that to this, and they went on and on to every shop looking for an exact replica of the one which they had lost. And finally, they found it. It was worth 40,000 francs. They were allowed to have it for 36,000. They found that the cost was 40,000 francs, and after much bargaining, they were able to finally come to an agreement at the price of 36,000 francs. The jeweler agreed not to sell it for 3 days. They arrived at an understanding that he would take it back for 34,000 francs if the first one was found before the end of February. He said, "Okay, till the first week of February or till the end of the February, if we are able to find the first necklace, you should be ready to buy it back. Who? The jeweler will buy that same necklace back if they find the first one which they had lost at the party. If they find that one, then the jeweler is going to buy this new second necklace which they are now purchasing. He will buy it for 34,000 francs. So the new necklace is purchased by Ma'am Louisol for 36,000. And if they find the earlier one which they have lost, if they find that one, then this new necklace will be again purchased back by the jeweler for 34,000 francs. Louisol had 18,000 francs left to him by his father. He intended to borrow the rest. That is, out of 36, the half of the money is available for him left by his father as family inheritance. He has got it, so that money is there, and the rest 18,000 is going to borrow. He got 1,000 from one man, 500 from another, 5 louis here, 3 louis here. He gave notes of hand, entered into ruinous agreements, did business with usurers and every kind of money lenders. So of course, a man in distress, he takes money from here, money from there, he took loans everywhere, entered into ruinous agreements, very dangerous and high rated interest agreements he signed, and all kinds of money lenders, all kinds of usurers. He transacted business with them, he borrowed money from them. When Ma'am Louisol took back the necklace to Madame Forestier, the latter said icily, "You ought to have brought it back sooner. I might have needed it." She said, "You are bringing this necklace now. You should have brought it much earlier. You should have brought it much earlier. I thought you would be bringing it much earlier. I would have needed it." So she icily said this. She did not, as a friend had feared, open the case. She did not open the case to see whether it is real or whatever. If Ma'am Forestier had noticed the substitution, what would she have thought? Would she not have taken her for a thief? So she was very afraid that if Ma'am Forestier opens it and finds the necklace that it is not the one which she had given, then she would have taken Ma'am Forestier for a Ma'am Louisol or Matilda for a thief. So that's what was worrying her. But Ma'am Forestier didn't do anything of that sort. She just took that necklace and just put it away. Just said that you should have returned it early. I might have needed it and all. Ma'am Louisol came to know a life of immense hardship. Now she comes to know a life of hardship. Now what has happened is, because of this greed of her, she has moved down from her social status. The status in which she was, now she is in a lower status. The debt had to be paid off, and she played her part heroically. This debt, this loan that they had taken, they had to pay it. So she hard-heartedly worked hard. They changed their flat and took a garret under a roof. Under a roof, they lived in a small house or a room. She came to know the heavy work of the house and the duties of the kitchen. Earlier, she didn't do the heavy duties of the house or the duties of the kitchen. Now she is doing it. Why? They have done away with the servants. All this work she is doing to save money. In the market, she haggled and fought for every halfpenny. She bargained with every vegetable seller, meat man, or anyone. She borrowed with the butcher, the vegetable man, the grocer, stationery shop. Everywhere she haggled for every small bit of money. Every month, notes had to be paid off, others renewed, time gained. So every month they had to pay some loans, renew some agreements and all that. Her husband worked in the evenings and often at nights too. This life lasted 10 years. For 10 years they worked this hard, they worked in this hard condition. Ma'am Louisol looked old now. Her hair was badly done, her skirts were awry, and her hands were red. So she is now a very simple commoner woman. Her beauty is gone, her hair is badly done up, her hands are very rough and hard, and her skirt is out of place. It's very mediocre and very ragged kind of. But sometimes when her husband was away, she sat by the window and thought of that ball at which she had been so beautiful and so much admired. Sometimes, occasionally, earlier she used to think of it regularly, but now, occasionally, that memory comes of that beautiful ball party where she had been a cynosure, she had been a very attractive lady, the center of attraction. She remembered that. What would have happened if she had never lost the necklace? So that's what she used to think. One Sunday, as she was walking along the Champs-Élysées, she saw Ma'am Forestier, still young, beautiful and attractive. Ma'am Louisol went up to her. "Good morning, Jean." So one morning she was walking along the Champs-Élysées, which is a kind of a park, and there she saw her friend Ma'am Forestier. She was, as usual, young, beautiful and attractive. She went up to her and called her. "Hello, Jean." The other was surprised at being so familiarly addressed by a strange woman. She said, "Who is this strange woman?" Ma'am, honestly, at first didn't recognize because she has changed in those 10 years. Her appearance has drastically changed. She said, "Who is this woman who is addressing me so lovingly and very friendly?" But, ma'am, I don't know you. She said, "Who are you? I don't know you." "Hi, Matilda Louisel." She said, "You don't even know me. Hi, Matilda Louisel." "Matilda, how you have changed." "Oh, Matilda, how you have changed." "Yes, I've had some hard times since I saw you last, and all on your account." He says, "Yes, after I met you last, I have had to suffer some hard times and all because of your account." "On my account? How was that?" He says, "For me." Ma'am Felicity is shocked. "For me, you have to suffer all this? Why? How?" "Do you remember the diamond necklace you lent me for the ball at the ministry?" "Yes." "Well, I lost it." And now she reveals the truth. She says, "You remember that necklace you gave me?" He says, "Yes." Now that everything is over, she can now say the truth. She says, "Do you remember that?" He says, "Yes." "That necklace?" He says, "Yes." "Well, I lost it." "How could you? You brought it back." Ma'am, for a surprise. "You have lost it. How could you lose it? You brought it back to me. You gave it to me." "I bought a similar one. For the last 10 years, we have been paying for it." He says, "Similar necklace I have bought. And last 10 years, we have been paying for it. It wasn't easy for us. We had no money. Well, it's paid for at last, and I am glad indeed. For the last 10 years, we have been paying loans. So for the last 10 years, we have been paying for it. And finally, I'm glad that it's over. The loans have been repaid. The money is paid back to the money lender. So all accounts settled now." Ma'am Forestier had halted. She just stopped. Ma'am Forestier, she was like a statue. "You say you bought a diamond necklace to replace mine?" He said, "You bought a diamond necklace to replace the one which I had given to you?" "Yes, you hadn't noticed it." She smiled in proud and innocent happiness. So now Matilda is proud in this innocent happiness that her friend was unable to trace that it was a fake necklace. It was a real necklace. It was a diamond one which she had replaced with the one she had lost. So her friend had unable to differentiate the real and the fake, the real and the one which is replaced by her. So, "You bought a diamond necklace?" "Yes, you hadn't noticed it." She smiled in proud and happiness. So she's very happy that her friend is unable to differentiate that the one which she had given and the one which Matilda had returned are different necklaces. She had not been able to realize that the one which she had given and the one which Matilda had returned, they are separate necklaces. She had not been able to. She was very happy about it. Ma'am Forestier, deeply moved, took her hand. She was deeply moved on hearing this, and she took the hands of Matilda and said, "Oh, my poor Matilda, but mine was an imitation. It was at most 500 francs. And then comes the twist in the tale. What twist in the tale? That she says that mine was fake. It was an imitation. "Matilda, what have you done? You have replaced my fake necklace which you have lost with a diamond necklace of real diamonds. Mine was hardly how much? 500 francs at the most. You have spent 36,000 francs in buying me a real diamond necklace. Oh, Matilda, what have you done?" So that's how the twist in the tale comes in the end of the famous myth, Guy de Maupassant's stories. So that's the line by line explanation. Now we move on a little bit about the analysis of the story. Written by Guy de Maupassant during the 1870s, as I told, 1870s, 1880s, around about that time. Mostly he wrote in magazines in those days, and then later on those stories were taken up and published in short stories. And there is, as you have just seen, there is a twist in the tale, somewhat like O. Henry's stories. There is a sting in the tail or a twist, a singular twist at the end, which is very similar to O. Henry's stories. Okay. Now, if we move on to the fact, a few things. First of all, the theme, if we may discuss, the themes of greed, of course, there is there. Matilda is overwhelmingly greedy. Greedy for what? She wants to live a life of luxury, as you saw from the beginning of the story. She wants to lead a life which is much higher than her actual status, and that makes her lose what she actually has. And in fact, you see that towards the end of the story, she leads a life which is much lower than the status which she enjoyed. When she was married at the mediocre level, if I may say that, in the middle class, and she goes to the lower class later on in the story when she has to pay that loan. So her greed to reach up to that higher status of being with those at par with those aristocratic and rich ladies makes her, instead of going one step up, she goes one step down. This is one of the themes. Next is deceptive appearances. Matilda is very concerned with putting on deceptive appearances. If you remember that party, in that party what happened? She was happy in that dress that she was wearing with that all that jewelry and all. But when she was returning, her husband put on that mediocre middle class coat or cloak on her. She was trying to hurry off so that no one might see her in that dress and make fun of her and realize what kind of actual woman she is or which status does she belong to. So she likes to keep on deceptive appearance, and very ironically in the story also she is a victim of deceptive appearance. Why? That necklace, you remember, which she took from Ma'am Forestier, she thought it to be real. In the end, what happens? The necklace is proved to be fake. So in that way, she always hankers after deceptive appearances, and deceptive appearances are finally affected to her and totally changes her life. That's one more theme. Next is beauty and vanity. Of course, she's proud of her beauty. She wants to be loved. She wants to be hankered after. She wants people to run after her. She wants people to be eager and very extravagantly going after her like a celebrity. But that she doesn't allow. She doesn't go into that. And what happens? In her moment of social success, that fleeting moment of social success, it makes her vain. And in the end, the losses, she loses both her beauty and vanity. What happens at the end? Next point is Matilda's beauty. Matilda's beauty allows her a fleeting moment of social success and makes her vain. But unfortunately, what happens? Towards the end of the story, what we see? Her beauty is gone, her vanity also is gone. Her pride, her beauty, her vanity, everything is gone. So that is one more theme. In that fleeting moment of success or that fleeting moment of desire to be successful makes her lose her everything. So finally we can say Miss Ma'am Louison is content with, had she been content with what she had in life, she would have been a happy character. But towards the end of the story, she is finally happy with whatever she has. She finds peace and contentment which she earlier did not have. Earlier she did not have all that. She was very dissatisfied, she was very sad, she was always hankering after all those beautiful and gorgeous things. She always wanted all those nice things in life and all. She was very dissatisfied. And at that time, she was very beautiful. Naturally, mind you. She was naturally and inborn, she was a beautiful woman. Had she enjoyed that, had she realized that, she would have been beautiful in her own way. But that she doesn't do. She hankers after being an aristocratic woman, rising up in the social status, being something or someone rather which she actually is not, and in trying to be someone whom she is not actually, she brings about her downfall. And later on in the story, when she loses her beauty, you can say her beauty is faded due to all this hard work and all, and it makes her in fact a better person. It makes her a better person. She becomes a better individual than what she was in the beginning of the story. So Matilda at the beginning of the story is not so good a character as compared to Matilda at the end of the story, who is much more relaxed, much more happy, much more peaceful, contented, happy. Although she is not beautiful anymore, but still, as a person, she is much more happier. If you come to the symbols like the necklace symbolizes the wealth and status that Matilda longs for but cannot attain. So she cannot attain that. She takes it, borrows it from Ma'am Forestier for a day and then returns it back. So it's like being, just like at the party, she is at the higher social status. For how long? For one night only. For one night alone, she had stepped into that ladder of being that high, rich, aristocratic lady for one night only. But she cannot maintain that. She cannot attain that. Right? Just as that necklace. She cannot attain that necklace. That necklace ultimately has to be returned to Ma'am Forestier. She does that. The code that her husband gives at the end of the party symbolizes her current life. If you remember that cloak, that middle class simple cloak which her husband put on, is making her realize her reality. It's a symbol of that, and symbol of a current life, making her realize or making her come back to reality. If you remember the party, she was in a cloud of happiness. She was as if on cloud 9, and from there she is brought back to reality by that cloak, making her remember that you belong to this level. You are not of that high aristocratic lady level. Conflict wise, if you say there is a conflict in Matilda regarding her inner self versus her society. In society, she wanted to rise up in higher society. No one told her to that. No one told her to rise up in high in society. It was an inner turmoil which made her realize that she should be up there, higher up in this level of society. It is her inner turmoil which made her look at things like that. Irony, if we take, the lawyers will take a big debt in order to replace an apparently expensive necklace that is actually a cheap imitation. This is the irony. They took a big loan. Why? To replace a diamond necklace which is real. They thought it is real. So they wanted to replace it. Ultimately what happens? It is proved to be a fake, an inexpensive one. Next, Ma'am Lois is dissatisfied with the place in society, but at the end of the story, she is at a much lower social position. This is what I was saying, that in trying to achieve and to be someone whom she is not actually, she in fact loses the position in which she was and goes a step lower. So that is why here we come to the moral of the story, which is a person should be satisfied with whatever and wherever that person is. Whichever place in society you are, you should be happy with that. Whatever you are in society, you should be happy with that. Do not try to be someone else. Not try to be greedy, not try to be overly extraordinarily greedy, and that may make you lose everything that you have. So that's my explanation of the diamond necklace. I hope you have understood it. And if so, of course, like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your love.